All right, how is everybody doing? We are back for day two, the final day here on the Adobe live stream with the Unfold team. So my name is Peter Deltondo. I am joined here by my teammates, uh, Evan and David. And let me throw them up here so you guys can see the squad. We've got David Kovalev, who is one of the managing partners here at Unfold, and Evan Place, one of our UI UX designers on the team as well. And we are so happy to be back here with you guys today. And we're going to be carrying on from the project that we worked on yesterday, which is a new app that we are getting ready to launch. It's called Aurora, and it is a kind of daily inspiration, daily source for all the design stuff that you guys could want to know about. So inspiration, good articles. It's meant to be that site that you show up, have your cup of coffee, and just kind of soak things in at the start of your workday. So we're really excited to get this out there. If you'd like to sign up for the beta and be updated on updates with this, you can go to rora.co, and find out more. And we'll get you in there soon. We've also got a lot of folks here in chat. Thank you so much for joining us. I see Jonathan Beal, good to see you, buddy. Justin, Anna, Zubair, Tim, Akin. We've got lots of folks, and let us know where you guys are from as well. Couple quick announcements before we get into stuff. If you have not already, make sure that you join the Discord community for Adobe XD. There's a lot of fantastic discussions going on in there, and Tim or Val will update that link here in a second. But as we come over to Discord, there's a lot of awesome channels over here. You guys should definitely jump in, be a part of that community conversation, introduce yourself in the new and XD or welcome channels, and we are going to be doing reviews of, I'm not sure if we're posting today in the current challenge or portfolio reviews. So Tim, maybe you can update us there and just make sure I get that information right. But we're going to be doing some reviews of, I believe, the challenges that folks have been working on here with Andrea's stream previously. And Andrew Hockrattle, good to see you, man. We're going to be teasing out some of the things Andrew's going to be working on stream tomorrow. So make sure you join him to see what's going on with Canceled Con. You can find out more about that with Andrew. We'll tease a little bit of that out today, but make sure you jump in for there as well. All right, so with that, let's see if there's anything else we need to touch base on, but I think that's the basis. And yeah, let's kick it off. So maybe Evan or David, would one of you guys like to walk us through a little bit of some of what we did yesterday and what we're going to be updating? And maybe you want to share your screen, and that way you can be in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, sure. I think I can take a stab at that.
Awesome.
Let me share my screen here. One moment. All right, let me know when you get visual.
Yes, let me just switch it to the full portion of my screen. Okay, cool. We are good.
All right, cool. Well, it's good to be back here and working on XD and just trying to put this together for Aurora. So we're building out a style guide for whoever missed it yesterday. We're building out the components and just the different elements of Aurora.co. So the idea here is we're componentizing everything. So we started with the colors, let me zoom in a little. So we started setting up the colors here, and as you can see on the left, in our assets column, we have the naming of the colors here on the left, and then we get into the character styles and the sizing and some of the attributes here, and then we get into components, and these components are made out of the smaller components here. And we're doing this live collabing on XD, so we're working together in the same document, which is pretty cool. And yeah, and this is basically where we're at. So yesterday we put together this homepage, and this is all built out of these components and the colors for whoever missed it. And this is where we're at right now. And the next steps would be to work a little bit on just kind of polishing up some of the information here, just tidying that up. And then we want to also start thinking about the little modal, the little drawer window that pops out when you click on a post, when you drill into the details here. And also what happens when you click into the dashboard. So if you were to click your user profile, so imagine you're signed in, what happens then? What does that look like? And that's something we'll be addressing today.
And one thing I'll switch back over on mine. You can leave your screen up, David, in case we jump over to you or to Evan next. But kind of just going back a little bit, in case you missed yesterday's stream, one of the things that we really encourage you guys to do as you're building out design systems is to think of them as an atomic structure. And there's a great series of articles from Brad Frost. He kind of pioneered and coined the atomic design system for UI UX design. And the way to think about it is you want to build things as though it's atoms to molecules to organisms, and how you combine multiple atoms to create the molecules to create the organisms. And so what you want to start with and how you need to think about creating these design systems is to start with the very smallest points and work your way up. So immediately we start off by creating, our color palettes. And so we can come over here, we're going to add all the colors that we're going to utilize. Next, we want to get into creating the typography. So we started adding some type styles. From the type styles, we then apply the color palette so that those things are linked and connected. In order to create a button, you now combine that with the color, with the type style, with the background button of a color from the type style, and then you group that together as a molecule, and you kind of see how that pattern works. If you jump into things and you don't set it up in that kind of structure, everything kind of is unlinked or disconnected. And so if you had a change that you had to make somewhere globally, it becomes very, very difficult to do so. And a quick example of this, if I were to come in here and change this midnight color, which we're using everywhere, and I wanted to make this, say, green, I can quickly, really easily do that across the board through one easy swoop. But if I were to build everything out and have that disconnected from the color asset, it's chaos, because now what should have taken 5 seconds to edit across the board, I would have to go into, probably in a full-sized application, hundreds if not thousands of layers and manually make that adjustment each time, and it becomes very tedious and very time consuming, and at that point you just don't want to bother with it. So you start abandoning your old designs and pages and whatnot, and just kind of like start doing it in development. So building out a design system is very, very important. It's great to manage your own product, or when you hand things off to clients, set them up to be successful to manage these products long term. So hope that gives you all some fundamentals. And if you have any questions on that, let us know. One of us will definitely jump in there. All right, and Voodoo Val. Okay, we'll check out the challenge in Discord later and go through some of those. And I'm assuming we'll do that at about 1:30, 1:40 or something like that. Okay, I don't know what that is. All right. Well, with that, maybe Evan, you want to take the driver's seat for a minute and show us what you're working on here?
Sure. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, absolutely. We were saying a couple things because XD's co-editing is still in beta, but this is a really cool feature. It's really amazing to be able to work together as a team. This is something that we do every day. We hop on a Zoom call, we sit in the same file, and we work together, and you get to collaborate this way. And we were mentioning yesterday, a couple of the things that we would love to see implemented into co-editing would be things like cursors, so that we know where other people are working. I just start seeing things appear and disappear on the screen, and it's a little tough to follow. And it'd be really great to be able to click on somebody's avatar and be able to follow them along as they work, or snap to where they're at, so that way it's really easy to see what's going on. So hopefully Adobe XD team will see those things.
Yeah. Hey, David, could you stop sharing your screen so I can?
Oh, I can do that.
I can't start to. Okay, perfect.
I gotcha.
So yeah, one thing I was working on here was just going through. I know we talked a little bit too about not having placeholder text. And so one thing I was going through is just updating some of the titles, utilizing some of the things that we did with the different states of these two different avatars, where we've got the Behance, Product Hunt, Medium. So I was just going through some of these different cards, updating some of them so that it just feels a little bit more real. Plus, then we can kind of test things out a little bit and make sure that the way that we've got things set up, that it works. So I was just changing some of the sources and authors and whatnot, and then also just grabbing some of these buttons and swapping things out just so that it feels a little bit more realistic. And so one way to do that is we've got all of the components built over here, but then we can also see all of those assets obviously in our assets panel. And so one really quick way that we can update these things is if you select one of these and you want to update it to one of these other buttons, if you drag it over and you can just swap them out really quickly, and just kind of keep trying different things. You know what, I want to do a different one. Let's change it to learn.
So really quick, really easy.
Yeah, and so it's just a really quick way to kind of just make it feel a little more realistic. But again, like I said, just to test and make sure that the way that you've got things set up, the way that your components are labeled, makes sense. Because the other thing is this assets panel can get pretty full. So the nice thing to know too is that you can move things around in here. So I'm just trying to make sure that different things stay together. And I know that we've got the other thing we did after that is we've got these two different card elements, different ways of voting. So kind of this vertical layout and a horizontal layout, which we started doing kind of in this flyout menu, which we had here. So I pulled that master component out of here so that everything lives on this thing here, and then replace it with an instant. So just going through to try to clean things up and just make sure naming things make sense in a way that you can reference easily, but also that your team can as well. So
absolutely, yeah. So it's really important, and we recommend doing something like as you're seeing Evan here, where we've got things like button/tools or button/hover/active/pressed. Those kind of things really help keep things organized. And just as we say that, I mean, another bit of feedback for the XD team in terms of organizing some of these things, like it would be really awesome to be able to search within this based on the tags or how you're naming it, but also probably an ability to group things, like to be able to put all of your buttons in like an accordion, expanded section, or different methods of organization of your atomic assets, because that makes it so much easier and cleaner to filter through and find the different things that you're working on. Because in a full design system, I mean, you're going to have hundreds or thousands of different components here, and that can get kind of wild really quickly. So the better you organize this stuff, again, it's always about taking one step forward, two steps back, but that level of organization and kind of OCD is very, very important to set you up to be smooth and successful going forward. All right, well, let me jump back in on something. I think I'm going to play around a little bit with the audio stuff. So one of the cool new things in Adobe XD, actually, let me pull that up here. I've got the direct link. Over here. If you check out what just got released on March 10th here in XD 28, one of the cool new features is audio playback. So you can now kind of take those prototypes to that next level and add sound effects or other audio files as a trigger in your prototypes, which is really cool. You can get those boops, the whoops, whatever other sound effects you would like to do. And for today, we're going to do it as though there's like a podcast or a YouTube video or something like that. While we can't yet play the video, which would be really cool if there was like video or GIF support in XD, we can absolutely get some audio stuff going in. And so we're going to take a look at that, and we'll show off a couple more of these features here as well. So as we mentioned, our friend Andrew Hockrattle, in the event of just all this stuff going on, is putting on an event called CanceledCon. And Andrew and I are both co-hosts at Creative South, and we recently made the decision to postpone the event because of all the coronavirus stuff going on. And he had the idea and initiative to have some fun with that, still get everybody together in a fashion, and kind of do an online hangout for a couple of days. And so he's going to be building that out live on Adobe Live tomorrow. So make sure you all tune in to that. But we thought, hey, let's kind of get some of the word out. Let's share how we would showcase this on a platform like ours. And so we are going to have our preview image over here. We've got a description. We're going to categorize this as learning. Platform is on Medium, and we've got Andrew over here and when it was posted. So if we were to come over here and once again create this, and actually I'm going to swap that. It looks like we didn't have our...
yeah, I don't think that was updated, Peter.
Yeah, no worries.
From the original component.
That's part of a design system. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 pixel grid is life. And we come over here, we've got this, and we'll swap Andrew's photo over here as well. And I am going to, see, co-editing. You guys are so fast. I don't even know who did that, but that's the beauty of it. Evan, my man. All right, so let's come in here. I'm going to grab Nucleo. Nucleo is a fantastic icon suite and app to help find icons. So what's really cool here is I'm going to come in. I'm just going to search for play. And as much as I would love to have Mr. Toad in there, we are going to come in and look for like a playhead. I want it to be a little bit larger. And I'm starting to see some stuff like this. I just want a simple play. Here we go. This will work for now. So I'm just going to drag this off to the side. I've got my icon, and I'm going to do a couple things here, I think. I think, for one, I'm going to move this dashboard off to the side. Whoever's... Actually, I'll pull this down. Okay, so I want to do... works out as I intend. I'm going to try to do a hover here. So I'm going to add a fill over this object. Just go here to here. Not exactly sure how precise I'm being on that, but for the moment that's all right. Let's bring this down. Let's keep going lower than that. Something there works well. And I'm going to pull this on top, and I'm going to make this even bigger. All right, that works for the moment. And I think I want this one a little bit darker. All right, we'll do something like that for the moment. Okay, so we are golden on that. And let's see. What I want to do is when we click on play, that we are going to add a audio file. So I'm going to come over here, and we are going to add an interaction. We are going to do audio playback, choose a file. We are going to add a new file. And apparently all I do is play Call of Duty and The Witcher 3. That's what's in my documents. And I believe I have it here on my desktop. Hang on, let me check that. I thought it was on my desktop. Where are you? It is on my desktop. Why is it not showing?
You have to display what video type or what audio type?
Yeah, it is. Let me see if it's in. Oh, it's in my downloads. Okay, 1 second. Let me move that to desktop. There we go. I thought it was there. All right, so now we've got that fixed position when scrolling. Okay, I don't think I need to worry about that. So we're going to do a couple things. One, I'm just going to link this whole element. Actually, I can kind of get specific here. I want to link this, and I want this to be I'm just going to leave it at the moment. Okay, so let's go from this element over to here. We'll do an auto animate, nice and easy. All right, and then I'm gonna hit play. This is going to pull up my preview window. And now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna click on this, and this is the first time I'm running it on my computer. I just reformatted like a week ago. So let me double check.
Oh, hello,
Here we
America.
go.
I didn't see you there. My name's Andrew Hawkrattle, and some of you just know me as Hawk. Now, in the year 2020, I embarked on a campaign.
So
to
super
host
cool.
every
We can
design
actually
conference
embed
in
the
United
audio in
States.
that. So we'll end that. So what's really cool is you can add anything with this, especially I think doing prototypes, not just like subtle animation, or not subtle animations, like micro interactions where you want to have some kind of like small sound effect. But this would be great to prototype something like a podcast app. Like you could completely prototype this out and even send it out to somebody as like a functioning true no code prototype and get a grasp of what this could be like. So this is just a really, really cool feature. I think there's a lot of possibilities with this, and I'm really curious to see how you guys are incorporating that into stuff. Yeah, it is weird hearing yourself back, isn't it? Let's see. Oh yeah, I've heard Animal Crossing is like Switch or something like that. If anyone here plays Call of Duty or anything like, we play almost every day, play with Jonathan and a couple other folks, Andrew. So let us know. We'll all get together and have some fun after work, and social distancing, but staying connected. That's the thing. All right. So as we can see here, I mean, this is awesome. I get to see typing in real time. We get to see a couple of comments here coming out and getting a grasp of what that looks like. And once again, we can get into really big detail where we can combine these elements, not that we need to at the moment, but we could create the avatar, the name, and like 3 lines of text as a standard component and have these assets to just drop in really easily if we want to add additional things throughout the design system to be utilized across the app. So really, really cool. All right, let's see what else we are working on. Okay, Evan is working on that David's working on this, and I think I saw Evan flying over here on the side. Is that right? Bookmarks.
Yeah, I'm just starting to set up some of the pages for the different dashboards that we want to work on as well. So
Cool.
just doing a little prep work.
And this is where, we can set up stuff like this. So actually, let me get out of prototype mode. But I'm going to come over here and just different assets that we have. Like, even though this is just a standard rule, I want to create this as a component because now, let's just do horizontal rule, and we can say gray. And what's really neat about that is that if we utilize these things and we wanted to change these across the board, I can make edits to that master component, which I'm going to backtrack and do it the correct way, like we said yesterday, where I want to bring those elements over here. And so I can just pull it over here on the side. That way we have it essentially in a master library or component area. And so I'll come over here once again. I'm just going to say horizontal rule gray. And I know this is tedious, but I'm telling you, it's going to save so much time if you build it out this way. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab these items, snap that left. I will delete this one, and then move that in and center it. And bring that down. Just make a copy of that. Really simple. But now if I wanted to come in and make a change to that, and let's just say I want to edit these to be different colors, it's going to, I saw the other one underneath it, but it's going to be able to change across the board. And that is the kind of thing that, again, is just going to save you so much time. So absolutely make sure that you are adding those components. right. So we'll come in, I'm just going to delete a couple more of these, swap those out. Simple, but we make sure that everything is nice and consistent now. And I think that's the main theme that I would stress, is that with a design system, it's tedious. It's like solving a puzzle or playing chess. Like you've got to think a couple moves ahead and know what's going on and how to, plan for something that you're building. Because just as we mentioned, when you look at this, like we have several atoms that make up the molecule and the organism here. We want to set up things like this where we've got icons. So I'm going to set these up actually. Why don't I grab these, and I'm going to move these over and build these assets out. And yeah, Colby, we thought we would have some fun. And Andrew is one of our best buddies, and we love supporting him. So very, very important to us. All right, so just a little icon design stuff here as well. And you guys jump in at any point. I'm going to run with this one, and then maybe somebody else will share something after this. And good to see you, Mark Bowden from Bermuda, my buddy. Good to see you, man. So I'm going to come in here, and I want to create a grid for my logos that they are going to sit within. And so I'm going to create that 24 pixel. We have a little rogue flyer there. Okay. Move him, and I'm just going to center this up. So this is going to live right in here. And this guy will move right in here. And this will just tell me that my logos or my icons are all going to be nice and anchored in the same spots. All right. And what I'm then going to do, we're going to do a couple things actually. I'm going to create the different states here. So I'm going to group this. I'm going to just copy one of these up here in case I need it for something else. And I am going to do a couple things here. So first of all, I'm going to create a component, and I will call this icons 24 pixel, and we'll call it bookmark. And let's say this is bookmark default. Or actually, we can do that in state. So you know what? I won't get that specific here. And then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to create another component, and we'll call this one share. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the fill. That's really just there to create the overall size and space for me. I'm going to make sure that these are connected to, we don't have color for this one. I'm going to call this one whale. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the different states of these icons. So I have them here. And let's just say when we hover over that it's going to become blue. So we'll go back to hover state, color, cosmic blue. And once again, we will come over here, hover state, click on that, cosmic blue. And then we'll make these the default over here. And then I'm going to go back to where we were up top, and we can do a couple of things here. So for one, let me double check if this is going to work as I intend and think. Yes. Okay, cool. So what I'm also going to do is I want to create some text over here, and this will just be left aligned, and let's say bookmark. And I want that Nice and clean. Okay, and then I'm going to come to my styles. We'll bring that down here. And then we've got our color. We can utilize that. And I can create, again, another component here. And I'm going to have this be icon and text 24 pixel. All right. And what I can do now is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to delete these. And I'm going to drop this in. And I'm going to have two of these. So we've got bookmark, or we said save. So I'll just simplify that. And I'm going to do one more. And here we'll say share. Let's align these to be the same. All right, and get that nice and clean. Okay, so we've got save, we've got share, but I want to switch out what graphic we're using for the share. So I'm going to come in. There we go. Hey, why is that doing that? All right. Well, a little buggy there, but we will adjust. So I'm going to do it with just the icons for the moment, but we'll keep that easy. All right, so we've got save and share. And I'm going to update that. Okay. Group that, move that off to the side here. And throw some more text down. Save. Let's get all that even. All right. Cool. So we've got something like that now. And then if I want to come in and again, if I were to swap this, I'll drop it in, sorry. Why is that? Should be able to come in and swap that out and just change out what those icons are really quick and easy. So it just makes life a lot simpler to pull all of those things together. And so we would apply that everywhere that we've got and makes it a lot easier to utilize. And Seeking, thanks for Nucleo. Yeah, it's a fantastic tool. If you're on Mac, IconJar is another amazing application to utilize, and you can upload all of your icon files from things like Adobe Stock as well and create these libraries to manage and search through what you've got. Most of the icon developers these days build it for those tools, so that way everything is categorized and searchable. And I mean, so much better than the old days where you had to look through a file and scour through like thousands of icons and just look at categories to try to find something. So it's very, very good. All right. Okay, cool. So talking about some of that, and let's see, Evan, why don't you walk us through a little bit of what you're building here in the dashboard. And if you want to share your screen, I'll switch over there.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. So there's a few different screens that we've got for the dashboard. We've kind of got this activity feed, so it shows some of the different things. And I just kind of made a list up here of the different types of activity that I know that we need to account for. So we've got anytime you bookmark something, an upvote, a downvote, and a comment. And so this is just going to be kind of a list of your latest activity and things that you're doing. So David's kind of working on the navigation with it for inside of this dashboard area over here. And then here's just kind of a real rough like layout for what the what this activity section looks like. So we've got the different rows here. I just use a repeat grid really quick just to wireframe it and use the spaces for that. But essentially what we're going to do is we've got your activity listed up here. So let's build one of these out. I know we're going to have an icon here for the type of activity. Let's try 32. We'll try that for now. And then a 48 from the edge, just kind of sticking with the 8-point grid. And then David's bringing in just kind of the text describing what happened or what you bookmarked. And I know we need that repeated down. So instead of dragging it, let's be smart and do it this way. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait. And we will, once we get this first one built out, we will repeat grid this whole top bar down.
That's a better idea, Evan. Good thinking. So let me just, I'm just going to add in the final items here.
Sure.
When the activity happened, so we can just do like 6 hours ago.
And while you guys are building that out real quick, Jonathan was asking, as an in-house designer, I find myself needing to create a variety of landing pages fairly quickly, typically a 3 to 5 day turnaround. Any suggestions on the best way to introduce the design system in order to create some cohesiveness across all pages without templatizing it too much? So with that, I mean, I would say that's kind of similar to what we're doing here, where even the smallest steps of, as you're building things out, you know you're going to need, a certain amount of type styles. And you could even set up like a file that you just kind of standardize, and you say, hey, here's my primary colors, here's my secondary colors, here's my H1 through H6, whether or not you use all of them, body, quote, italic, you just kind of give the works. And you start by utilizing those assets. And it's little things that you should do along the way that you just kind of learn as best practices, and maybe even bake into your time and estimate is things like, hey, as I create a button, rather than just create one and keep duplicating it everywhere, I should create it as a component and utilize that everywhere. So that way, if I make a change, what does it take you? 30, 60 seconds extra to make that update from the start, even though it might be small and only a couple pages. It saves you a ton of time in the long run. What I would recommend is, do that for things like color, text, buttons. Iconography is really helpful, especially if you were to say change, our bookmark icon. If we decided to change that to a different one, the ability to swap it out in one swoop versus in hundreds of instances, things like that will save a lot of time. What I would say doing less of is more of the like I would focus more on atoms and some organisms. Don't worry about here's what a full cohesive card looks like. So if we were to, I'm going to switch back to my screen for a sec. If we were to look at something I wouldn't worry so much about creating this entire container, this box here as a component, or one of the ones over here as a component, or here. But I would focus on some of the main priorities, things that will just save you a little bit of time, help keep things nice and tidy, and go on there. And another question that we had before that was from Lamont Sandridge, and I'm gonna go back to you guys here so we can watch you guys while you work. Was with 8 pixel grids, do you also make your columns 8 or 16? And with that, it's a little tricky because there is no perfect grid system. A 5 or 10 pixel grid system doesn't work everywhere. A 8 pixel grid system doesn't, the math doesn't always fit evenly everywhere. There's no perfect system. Yeah. The reason that 8, in my opinion, or in our opinion, is much better is a couple of reasons. One, it mathematically works better on most screen formats than a 5 or 10 pixel grid system. So it does work without having fractional pixels more often. The other is that iconography is generally always done in increments of like 16, 24, 32, etc. So when you're able to space things out and align it with that, it's going to look a lot cleaner. Trying to align a 5-pixel grid with a icon that is 16 or 24, that math is never going to be right, and things are always going to look off center. Same thing with typography. 16 is the lowest recommended size for accessibility outside of like 14 bold. That would be an exception. But generally speaking, everything works better. So we do space elements like vertically, top, bottom, and side to side in increments of 8 within the grid. But it's not perfect. So the way we do it is we have a artboard size of 1600 generally, and then the inner container is usually 1280 or 1140, and then we set a 12 column grid with padding between the columns, usually in increments of 24, 32, or 40. In some extreme cases, you might go a little smaller or a little bit bigger, but that tends to work best. And what I would say is, and this drives Evan and I bonkers all the time when we work on, we do a lot of design systems here, the two of us, and you're always going to have situations where something is fractional. And what you have to remind yourself is that when it gets developed, developers generally do things by percentages. So you don't need to worry so much that like one of your columns is a pixel off or a half pixel off. No, in development, it's percentage. Don't sweat it. But it's a good baseline to begin with. And let's see.
The other thing I'd mention with that is, because I've driven myself crazy trying to get a 12 column grid to work out so that all the columns and gaps work with that 8-point grid, I think it's literally impossible, just because you've got 12 columns, which means you've actually got 11 gaps that you end up with an odd number of columns and gaps, so that it's impossible to get it to work out evenly. So just don't drive yourself crazy like I did.
Yeah. And a couple more questions that we got. And actually, one last thing on the 8-pixel grid. Lamont, if you check out in Discord, and if you want to search pro tips, I've posted a ton of articles here in the past about the 8-pixel grid. So you might have to scroll up a little bit. But yeah, here's, I think, a couple accessibility stuff. I know I've got some 8-pixel grids things in there, so definitely go through that. There's some fantastic articles in here as well, and some really cool things. And I'm not even going to get started on neomorphism. Let's not go there and open up a bag of tea today. Let's just say that. All right, so we're going to stay away from that. All right, anyways, 2 more questions that we've got. What elements to focus on while making presentations for Behance? And that's from Munir. And Colby has a similar question. When looking at portfolios for UI UX like this, how much detail should you include in a case study? So actually, let me open up a couple things as we go here. And let's get off of live. And if you want, come over, click our names in chat or something. Come follow us on Behance. We've got some great team projects as well over there. We've been posting a ton actually to Behance lately, and so I'll pull up a couple of projects here that are kind of cool. This is actually a really old one that David and I worked on many moons ago when we were both not at Unfold yet. But I think these are a couple of cool ones to see. And so this one was fun. Crowdrise by GoFundMe, or now GoFundMe charity. As we see this is more of the marketing site. I worked on the product for 2 years, and I don't think we can show that yet. But as you come in here, we really walk through what this whole presentation is. And so showcasing, what our team goes through from like a sketch phase as we start ideating on the concepts of what we're going to build. We showcase, what are the colors and the palettes that we are working with for this, and how we begin to incorporate that into the actual designs and illustrations. And then this one here, actually, I want to showcase this because this is kind of cool. .co/ think this will redirect me. Here we go. So I just love this. Our developer Philip put this together, and like I think this is just cool. Because I can't illustrate like this, but like Eddie and Ted who worked on these, it's fantastic, and I love getting to see what that kind of swoop looks like and how we go from concept to the final version. But you can see like we really showcase what that is like. We start showing some of the wires and then how it gets put together, some more shots of different things that we got to work on, and we're showcase some of the animations that we incorporated in this as well. A nice quote from Justin, who's the head of product there. Basically, we're awesome to work with. You should want to come work with us. That's the gist there. And then Kaizen is another one. This was a large product that Evan got to work on and put together a design system along with David here for them. And so, you know, as you can see, again, there's so many different small components that are a part of this. And it's cool with your Behance presentations, and where I think it has a big advantage over Dribble, where you're just like posting out a little shot and a kind of a tease of something. Being able to go in depth, I think is very, very important for case studies when you can, and they do take a lot more time. But it's really cool to be able to see kind of a close up and the different things that are going on, all of the aspects. Like again, when you see what this is put together, things like hover states and everything, especially when you get into stuff where you are, from a sales standpoint, showing the value that you provide to clients, showing what goes into it. When you look at these projects, hopefully what you're seeing is something that shows the effort, the creativity, the thought process that has to go in to solve these kind of problems. When oftentimes we just show a screen that's like, here's the finished product, people don't understand what that is. And that's why there's kind of that stigma or the jokes and memes about designers of just like, make it pretty, wave the magic wand. It's because we don't show the work that goes into it. So anytime you can, show this kind of stuff and walk through things, and you can see some of the files that Evan put together and again, organized for the clients to show things like, here's the atoms, the buttons, the tooltips, tabs, here's all the icons and iconography. We've got a grid system for them for, you know, large desktop. We get into things like tablet and mobile, and all of this is, in my mind, what really helps make something come to life. And again, getting to see sketches of the illustrations, like how did we get to that work? This stuff doesn't just magically happen as much as people think that, you know, Eddie Labanovsky, who's our founder and head of design, or Ted, Vic, Bo, these guys just like illustrate stuff magically. I think that still happens sometimes myself, but the reality is there's a lot of work and effort that gets put into this stuff. And so the more you show it, the more valuable I think you are perceived and seen, and hopefully will help you land some bigger and better projects. And I keep scrolling thinking this case study is going to end, but it doesn't. So as you can see, just lots of stuff. The more you can dive into this, check it out. And you can check us out on Behance here. Can I click on that? Just search for Unfold. I think we're Unfold Co, Unfold Team, Unfold, or look for us, Peter Deltondo, Dave Kova, Evan Place, and we'll go from there. All right, so back to what we've got here. It looks like, I can't tell who's editing. Evan is working on adding some additional elements and kind of these activity indicators and icons over here. And as you're doing that, it looks like we've added a new color to the palette. So if we haven't yet, let's make sure we add a color to our color system, and you can see how we evolve. It's two colors.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, we've got purple now too.
Yeah, so let's get that.
Yeah. And so again, this is where things are an ever-evolving system and change, and you know, you just keep going and learning along the way, and as you add additional items, you add it to your system, to your components, and you're able to pull from that library.
And it helps too to do it now because I didn't spend a lot of time picking out these colors or like trying to get them all this right, so that way when we do get a little bit further, or if we get a little bit further down the road, we can still kind of readdress those things and kind of update as needed.
Yeah, because like that yellow feels a little almost like
Yes.
muddy to me, but
Yeah.
we could apply it everywhere. Don't sweat it, and then we can come back at the end, which like let's just do that for fun. We won't change it now. We can come back and make that modification. We can add additional colors. We could say we don't want it to be yellow. We want it to be orange or whatever it might be. It makes it really, really easy to tweak that kind of stuff. Can we call that one mattress just to be a dad joke? Somebody should get that.
Mattress.
I get those ads all the time. It's crazy. I don't need a new bed. I don't know why I get them.
And then the other thing to make sure is anytime you're building these things out is just make sure that they are tied to the colors that you've got set up instead of just eye dropping them. Okay, cool. So you bookmark. Let's do. Let's do grid. And then this here. This for
Oh, it
spacing.
didn't grab the icon, by the way.
I really want it.
And now the reason that we're doing this, correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, but instead of using repeat grid here, we're doing it manually because it's a little bit easier with the overrides. With repeat grid, that can be a little tricky sometimes with being able to easily swap some of the stuff out when it gets disconnected or when it's connected. So,
well, and part of it is I'm just trying to get the two, because I know we're going to alternate background and no background. So actually, I'm going to leave
Yeah, I
it.
think
yeah, I would say
now.
leave it.
I'm going to
merge
hit
them.
repeat now, and now I'll delete this one. Because now we
There you
can
go.
do it this way.
Yep. And then just reduce the space to 0.
Zero.
Don't change the, go back. Don't change the, change it to like gray, or not gray, like a darker gray or red or something for the moment. Yeah. And then
Yeah, I gotcha.
leave it. Cool. Or you could just set it to white. That would make it easy as well.
Indeed, it does.
Perfect.
Okay, now we can go through and let's just throw some of these other ones in there. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, can we do
Yeah,
it?
I think that's what we were talking about,
Okay.
that difficulty.
Yeah, because I think if I update this one, it's gonna have to
Yeah, so I think you gotta ungroup it first.
break the grid.
Nope,
And,
still grouped.
Still grouped. Okay. Take 2.
There we go. Easy peasy.
Upload. Do another upload. Do a download.
And I think this is where, and I'm gonna start, I'm gonna move this over to my other monitor, and I'll kind of design it over there a little bit myself. But this is where, by changing that stuff, yeah, here, so you uploaded. Oh, and we should, don't worry about it now, but like this is where you want to make sure things are left aligned with the textiles initially, because then how it's kind of breaking that. You uploaded
Yeah,
pencil
they
on.
should be left line now.
But as we change this to where there's different icons, there is different text, there's different times on the side. This is where it now feels, really real. It goes from being, an obvious case study or a fake project to something that feels like this is truly designed. and built out. So really, really important to make this stuff feel real. Put it in, take an extra 5 or 10 minutes and put that together, and it works really nicely. All right, so I'll help with a couple of these as well. You downvoted. Oh man, I want to be funny, but I'm not. You downvoted. Oh, I know. Toilet paper hoarders.
There you go.
Keep ourselves out of trouble. Toilet paper hoarders. All right. And you bookmarked unfold. Oops. Unfold.
Yeah, we're also adding like a little log out button on the left there on the panel, so I'll be dropping that in right now.
Awesome. And as I put that in the Unfold YouTube channel, check us out on Unfold. You can also watch all of the old streams that we have done on Adobe. Evan and I have been on a couple times. I've taught the XD daily creative challenges if you want to go back and do some of those. And Evan and I have been on Adobe Live before, and you can follow along and learn some stuff from the past, as well as we're going to be putting out a ton of cool content for Adobe XD and lots of design tips and tricks and things like that. So check us out. It's youtube.com/unfoldco. And we'll be putting out a bunch of stuff about working as a remote team too, since that's such a important and on-topic thing right now as well. So let's see. Steon's Crocs. Because I would comment on Steon's Crocs. All right, cool. We just have fun with our team members.
Well, what'd you say, Peter? Do you like them or not?
Uh-oh.
Flat Earth? I don't know. We'll change the subject.
You might be listening right now, so be careful.
You might. All right. Cool. All right, so we've got a couple things here. I might beef this guy up a little bit. Let's pump that up. Let's make that the color. And I'm going to round that off. Cool. So I think that plus button feels a little bit more on point with things at the moment. I don't know that this needs a shadow, but I'm going to try to do, here, I'm going to do it on my screen real quick. I'm going to do like a really, really subtle shadow. Again, I don't think this works, and I don't think it's something that we would use in this situation, but I just want to see what this would look like if we went with something super soft. So I'm taking this down to 8. I want this to like really blur out. Go to 40. And that gives it like just a little bit of pop, so that way it's not completely off. Like if we were to turn that, you know, it feels like this kind of disappears into the ether, or is just a cutout. So just by adding that very, very slight shadow, it gives it a little something without being kind of overwhelming. So we could try something like that. You know, we can also get into like, what would it look like if we did a very gentle border? We could do something like this and remove the shadow. You know, you can play with different things and see what you like. But yeah, that's just something that came up yesterday in a lot of different content as we were reviewing people's projects. Like everybody, I feel like shadows have kind of trending out now a little bit, and we're getting into, dare I say, the neomorphism, which just don't do it. Just let's avoid that whole thing and not get in a terribly inaccessible design. But the shadows can get really overused, and you've really got to finesse it. So less is definitely more with that, if that's something that you're going to utilize. I really like that style personally, but you've got to do it right. So cool. Yeah, and I agree. Let's track that out a little bit. Let's get in here. That out a little. Okay, cool. All right, let's see what else we got. So this is looking great.
I think one thing we can do too is, and Peter, I'll let you decide if we want to tackle this now or not, but since we've got kind of this side login panel, I feel like now would probably be the best time to make that whole thing a component, because then we can just make instances of it on all of these pages, and then we can even make set different states for activity, bookmarks, sources, settings.
Yeah, let's do it. You want to?
Do that.
I'll switch over to your screen. Let's watch you do it.
Sure thing. So I'll do it here, and then I'm going to move it to that main screen, just so that we've got, again, all those master components in that spot. But so I grouped everything, and then I componentize it, make sure I've got it all, and let's rename this thing to, let's see what makes the most sense here. Let's do dashboard. Actually, let's do card, and then dashboard. We'll just go with dashboard nav for now.
Cool.
And then we've got the default state. Let's add a new state and call it bookmarks.
Okay, so I see what you're doing here. So as
now
you're creating these, it is we can literally have them within one component rather than needing to swap out like just the icons or whatnot. That's really smart. And like, this is one of the things that I love most about working with the team, is that the way we get to think about the solutions for this stuff is really, really cool, because I wouldn't have thought to do that. Or maybe I would have thought about it later, but I definitely didn't think about it now. But when you get to work with other people, you get to tap into everybody's strengths. And I have always preached to our team and other people, I love working with Evan because his brain kind of taps into those kind of like logistical things within design systems. And it's really cool to be like, hey, what if we did it this way, and this removes additional components for us or additional steps. So find a design buddy that you can work with, and maybe you help each other out, or somebody on your team. It's really great to be able to work like this and be only limited by the overall talent and knowledge of your team and not just yourself, because we can all learn and grow from other people as well.
Perfect. Okay, so I think we've got settings, sources, bookmarks, and the default, which is, I don't know if we can rename the default, but we'll know that the default is activity. That's at the top. So now we've got that master component built. So I'm going to, how far is this from it? 48. Okay. So I'm going to move it off for now, create an instance of it, make sure that we are where we were. Okay. Now we can move this guy over here.
Super cool.
Got kind of another. Get it down so we can see it. Now we've got this main. So we've got the master component here, and now we've got this one here. And now, because we've got kind of these other ones set up, we can paste it and change it to bookmarks.
Awesome.
Paste it.
Got sources.
And
settings. Oh, that's awesome, man. Brilliant.
So, there, now we've got all those figured out.
Fantastic.
Cool. And that was really easy.
Yeah, you make it look easy, man.
It was quick.
It is.
So yeah, I haven't done a ton with states yet, and I think the biggest question with states is, when do you use a state, and when do you just create separate components? And I mean, I think it's a case by case situation. I think a lot of times the states, like in this instance, I know there's not going to be any interaction, like hover effects for this card on its own.
Well, but there could be.
So
I mean, that is something to think about.
Wanted it to.
Yeah, because like you could do hovers. Like, I guess technically, and you guys are just gonna watch us problem solve here for a second, but it might be ideal to have a separate one for each, because what you might want is hover effects for, not that we have to do this, like let's move on to something else, but you know, you might want to have it where on activity you have a hover state for bookmarks, a hover state for sources, a hover state for settings, a hover state for logout, or clicking on the plus sign at the top. And I don't know if we can do that as easily. I'd be curious.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's just you just kind of have to think through what you actually want to be able to do. What you want to, like, what type of interactions need to happen.
Right.
But just knowing that that's kind of an option is super helpful, because even if you did have to, like, let's say you did create 4 different ones, you're still eliminating a number of components just by having the option of creating that hover state within each one of those. So you're still only at 4 rather than having 8 total. So you're still cutting it in half.
Absolutely. And hey, Erica Cotton, good to see you. All right, so we've got a couple of these together. I'd say we've got about 20 minutes left of design time, and then we'll probably shift into some of the reviews and whatnot from Discord. So we'll pull those up in a little bit. While we're doing that, if you have not yet submitted one of your projects, make sure you click the link up here, join the Discord community, and I believe it's in the current challenges that you guys can tune in and check that out. And I think we'll skip the schedule for today since we're the last stream, I believe, for Adobe Live. I think something else is coming on. I'm not sure what is up next. Maybe Val or Tim can help us out with that. Sorry, go over to this scene. All right, and so let's see what we're working on next. I think this one's pretty good for the moment. Let me switch over to mine as well, kind of see what we have happening. So we've got our different setups here. Why don't we pick maybe one more screen and then we'll start prototyping a couple.
Do we want to do another screen? Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, otherwise I didn't know if you wanted to do any micro animations and some.
Yeah, let's do it.
Stuff, so.
David, you want to walk us through one, or Evan?
Yeah, I can. I was actually just working on the homepage prototype, so trying to link that in together to what happens when you click on one of the postcards.
Yeah,
so,
let's do it.
Let me share my screen.
Let us know if anyone else has questions in the live chat. Hit us up. We'll try to answer some stuff as we go. All right. So to get to this view, in case you're new to XD, you can jump in and up on the top left there, you click on prototype, and then you can hit the play button in the top right. But before you do, David, would you click on that artboard one more time?
Yep.
So what's really cool as well here is it's essentially showing you, you know, kind of that fold line as well, so you know where your content is going to break in that preview, which is also really handy. And then we can start jumping in and seeing what some of this stuff does.
Awesome. Yep. All right. So, yeah. So if you click, like Peter said, if you click the play button on the top right, that's your preview, and you'd be able to see your prototype. So right now we don't really have anything linked up. There's nothing happening, so it's working as it should. So what we want to do is have either, well, I guess we can talk about both options here, but one option is if we were to click this post, it would go to this screen. So there's 2 ways to go about it. Actually, there's a few ways to go about it, but the easiest way is if you were just to click it and link it to this page, and it should work right now. There it is. But as you can see, we're getting a lot of glitch because the fold is probably on a different line. So we want to make sure that the fold line is properly set up. Hold on. Okay, right there. I don't know why it's not showing up on the right here. Usually there's that pixel amount. Do you see that, Peter?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, I guess we can do it this way.
Maybe set it to like more or less the same height.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, okay, so there we go. So that's obviously the quickest way to get to that screen. But if you have a little more time and you want to make it look a little more seamless, you know, obviously it'd be better to have either an overlay where this pops right into the top of your design. So let me just show you here. So imagine this kind of popping in right on top as you click this card here. And in reality, how we want it to function is we want some of this to compress in, and that's going to take a lot longer to do, of course. But we can maybe try to take a stab at having this appear as an overlay, and see how that looks. So let me just drag this over to the side here. Let me move it back to that frame. I'm getting a little lag here. Sorry.
All good. Internet more stable today, or did you have to tether again?
No, it's good. It's good today, so that's good.
All right. We made it with David tethering off of his phone yesterday, and luckily nobody even knew.
Yeah. Technology. Okay. Okay, so the way to create an overlay, I'm getting a reconnection message right now.
Might have something going on with Creative Cloud for a sec.
Yep.
Well, while we do, I'm going to answer a question here. So Alyssa Yui was asking, how do you recommend getting started in UI UX? And I agree with the Ken here. You know, I would download XD. It's free to get started. I think there's a limitation maybe on the projects that you can have at once, but it's got some tutorials in there. Definitely join in on the Adobe XD daily creative challenges, as well as the Adobe live streams, just like you're here. There's a lot to learn and see, and it's fantastic, especially on those daily challenges. We're there, Chris Cannon, myself, Tim, Val, we're in there reviewing people's projects and giving feedback, and you can learn a lot. The other is just reverse engineer stuff that you can find online. Like, go take our design here, grab a screenshot of the product and go check out something else and literally kind of trace over it, just like you would if you were learning to draw. Start to see the patterns of how things are sized and how they're spaced and how things are done, and you get to learn a lot from that, and can kind of come to learn that way, as well as YouTube and Skillshare and stuff like that. There's a lot of things out there. But since we're back up and running, David, kick us back.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, so what I'm doing here right now is I put this this little drawer that's going to pop out into a separate artboard. And what we're going to do is link that up as an overlay. So you just make sure you're in prototype mode on the top left here. You grab this little plus sign and drag it to the top there. And then right here, you select an overlay option. And this little box is going to appear. I don't know, let me zoom in so you guys can see it better. So you have this little overlay box, and that's the size of your artboard. So you want to kind of position it wherever you want it to overlay. So for now, let's put it to as right as we can on the screen here. And let's see. Let's also take a look at some of these options. All right, so we have, it goes to the artboard too. And then here we can make it slide from the right. So let's see what that would look like. And we can adjust the speed, see if that's too fast or too slow. And let's click play. Hold on, let me select the, oh, actually that worked. There we go. So let's see if this works. Actually, nice. I think it's,
yeah, I think it's got just a slight delay because of the zoom call, but we can see that it's essentially sliding in over there and appearing on the side a lot more seamlessly.
Yeah. Hold on, let me try one more thing here. Let's try it.
Oh, moving the other link maybe?
Yeah, I think it's still linked to, because the first time I linked it to this frame. So let me get rid of that. All right, so I think that should fix it. Nope. Strange. All right, let me try it one more time here. Overlay.
Oh, keys and gamepad. Yeah.
That's it. It's usually the obvious, simple little things that make it buggy. Human error.
Would you click back on that one more time, David?
Yeah, sure. Let me go back.
So something else here too. So we've got slide right. As we take a look at that, there's a lot of different things that are options here. So if you jump into that one real quick, you just click on slide right.
Oh, on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can see there's different effects, and we can find out which one might be right. And so I'm not sure here if slide right means sliding from the light or if it means sliding in.
Okay.
You get where I'm going. I don't know which one is correct, so we're gonna have to trial and error that here.
Let's find out. Okay. Uh-oh. Still not going. Hold on.
Maybe try removing it.
Okay. Now there's two of them. Hold on. So it's saying tap. Yeah, let me just remove it. I think because I linked it to the first one, it's giving me a little glitch.
Instead of clicking and dragging, you can just click once, David, on that arrow, and then just select the art or the overlay, and then the destination. You can just select the artwork from the list.
Okay, let's try that. That might be better. First, we have to rename it. Drawer.
While you do that, I'm going to pull up some of the Discord projects and see which ones we're going to review in a bit.
All right, so let's try that. We'll slide right. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're sliding it from the wrong way, so it should be the other one. Slide left. So you were correct, Peter.
I got lucky. I was totally guessing.
Okay. There we go. So as y'all can see, it's pretty smooth. It just animates from the right there. And looks like it's working.
Yeah, that's butter.
Yep.
Buttery smooth. So really cool. And I think that's, we were checking this out on one of the portfolios that we were reviewing yesterday, where they had included animation in really all of their case studies. And it's so powerful, not just in presenting your work, but I think also in terms of pitching things. I mean, that's why, if you guys check out our Dribble page, we've got a lot of stuff, particularly David, who has done a lot of like just simple and quick animations in XD. And we use it all the time to quickly show those micro interactions, even just create shots that we want to put out there of our work, social stuff. It's really easy to do, and it really helps to sell a client on like, hey, here's a possibility of an interaction. So we could totally do something here too. And I don't know if David, you're ahead of me on this already, but like we could create something where when you tap on search here, that it expands out. And maybe let's do that real quick. We'll do one more of those where when I tap on search, it's going to expand. The icon's going to move to the left. We can have the text search come in. And then you could like technically begin to, it gives the impression that, oh, this is how I now engage in a search action. And that's the kind of stuff that really helps put a design over the top.
Mm-hmm. Should I do it in the master component or here?
I'd probably just in a separate thing. I would have a component for this and then another component for an expanded search.
Yeah. I wonder if this...
I think you need to dupe it and break it first, though.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it that way.
And let's see. Val, do we have some challenges from today yet? Otherwise, I can go back from the previous. All right. While you guys are doing that, I'm gonna load up a couple here. There's some really good projects in here from this last challenge. All right, and if you guys can, walk people through what you're doing as you're going here.
Yep. Yeah, maybe Evan, if you want to take the screen and work on some of the micro animations there.
Sure, yeah, I'll switch that over so
thing.
Evan can take over.
Yeah, okay. So, and Dave, we're just trying to animate this little search thing so that it opens to the left, right? Correct? Like when we tap on it, this little guy is going to expand to the left.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
Unless the upvote would be a better way to show that micro animation feature.
We can. I think we can stick with this search for now. Let's just move this guy over here.
All right, and while we're doing that, I've got a couple of projects from the last challenge queued up. But if you have not yet submitted from the recent challenges with Andrea Hawk, go ahead and submit that, and I promise you we'll review it because we need one from today. So if you want your work reviewed, jump on it. All right.
Okay, so we've got the when we're going to do this, we're going to do the we're going to use the wonderful features of auto animate. So we know the starting position is, we're going to keep it like this. So when they tap on it, let's create the finished, what we want it to look like.
You probably need to break that.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. I just wanted to see how far I could push it before I did. Okay, let's just make sure our padding and everything stays consistent. So we've got 24.
So while Evan's doing this, basically what we're utilizing is in Auto Animate. This uses Adobe Sensei, which is Adobe's like AI technology. And what's really cool here is that it will recognize a start to finish point. So you could do things like having a button that turns into a playhead for a video and like morphs into essentially a different area, object, or shape. And you can do some really complex stuff with this, by the way. But what we're doing is we're just giving it starting point A, starting point B, and it's using AI to figure out what would be an ideal animation and transition for those elements. So what's really cool is we can just quickly set up these points. And again, you're seeing how Evan in like a minute, because we're going to put him on a timer again. Yesterday. It's really simple. It's really easy, and we can quickly build out these kind of prototypes. So you should be done by now, right? You're finished.
I actually thought I was, but I think I got ungrouped. Oh, you know what? I know what the problem is. We're ready. We've got to make sure our layer names stay consistent. What's that?
There might be the two states on that search icon. I don't know if
What
that's
are the two?
Close that
I
out.
don't think that should.
I think we're okay. That's just going to alter
I
the
think.
state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
All right, you got it.
I just need to rename these guys so that the.
But we could create a state. Yeah. How you doing?
Search icon. Search icon. Let's see.
Oh, that's another important thing. The names have to be identical.
Yeah. Okay. Let's break the components for a second. Okay, auto animate, easy. Let's do these in out. I don't know what we want back best, but we'll just give that a shot here.
Make sure that you have the screen
Oh.
selected. I think you're on the wrong one. Yeah.
Yep. That's probably the problem. And then we've got that right away.
All right.
But
So
now we need to make sure that this one goes back right away.
Right.
Okay.
And then
So now we
just
can
bring it
help
down
it.
because we can't see the top of the screen there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So now we've got it so that you can expand.
And
Yeah.
let's take it one notch further. Let's add text that says search on the larger one.
Yep.
Mhm.
Let's get back to our design mode. Oops. Search.
And Colby, I mean, we use a whole variety of tools. You know, at the end of the day, it's always every design tool for every feature. You know, the beautiful thing about Creative Suite is we have access to lots of things. And with Creative Cloud, it all connects really well and nicely. So we've got, you know, Creative Cloud libraries. Every design tool is a hammer that puts a nail in a board. And, you know, you can apply that into everything. And there's going to be lots of features in all kinds of tools that are going to be ideal to work in, and it's finding what works best for you.
So we're going to make sure that we've got that search text on this page too. And we're just going to zero out the transparency. And you know what?
Yep.
I think it
Good
might
call.
be good if we actually move it to the right a little bit. So it'll maybe
Slide
it'll
in a little.
slide in a little bit too.
Yeah. And while you're doing that,
With this.
or let's showcase that. Yeah. So probably a little bit less.
It's not perfect. We could tweak it a little bit. but
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
I think even if you just left it at the end and it just appeared there towards the end, that could be a cool effect as well. So just maxing the, you know, the coordinates for that. And Ambert is asking, because there's no such thing as a dumb question, besides prototype purposes and showing how an interaction can animate, do these animations actually help developers with code, like an inspect? I don't believe right now that it has that kind of feature in the development handoff, but it is really helpful to make sure that developers clearly understand what it is that you're looking for them to build. So having them be able to see, oh, I want it to slide in like this, or to move in this way, or, you know, have a boop in there because now you can do sound as well. That's the kind of stuff that's really, really helpful and can help, you know, clear some confusion on stuff. And Munir, what process do you use while you redesign an existing website? I'm not really sure what you mean on that one. I mean, we treat a brand new website and a redesign fairly similarly. Everything's got to be wireframed. It's got to be, you know, heavily researched and figured out to be the best user experience and have a beautiful user interface as well. So to me, they're very similar and kind of the same coin. It just might be that we have predetermined content that we know we need to carry over, but we can change some things. With that, from a user experience standpoint, there might be things that we alter differently because of the fact that users might be accustomed to certain things. And so we have to keep that in mind. We don't want to make like radical changes and alterations to how people are accustomed to something, because we could have user drop off or frustrations and things like that. So that's probably the bigger change. All right, so I think maybe, is there anything else we want to showcase here, or we can kind of recap and then we'll move into some reviews?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I think that's pretty much it. So
awesome. All right, cool. If anybody has any questions along the way, let us know. But I'm going to end this. I'm going to share my screen for Evan and David. That way you guys can see what I am looking at. And I'm going to add... oh, actually, hang on. Let me split my window first. Okay, move that over. All right. And we'll start here. And let's go to Zoom. And I'll put sound on this time, so that way in case anyone shares something with sound, you guys get to see that as well. So we've got projects here. All right, cool. So Rashid, I know I was reviewing a couple of your projects last week because I was one of the mentors doing the daily challenge feedbacks, and I loved a lot of the designs that you had done here. Really, really clean stuff. This one I thought was really unique. Again, nice subtle use of shadows, really having a lot of visual interest with like the clippings here to have these these photos like really pop off, and very clear, very concise. I can see that you're setting up for animation, which hopefully we'll see in this video, where there's no text on them until it's the active state. So we'll take a peek at that, but I'm assuming we're going to see something like that. Great heart interactions, really cool.
Oh man, I really like those animations. He's got a little bit of like anticipation and exaggeration.
Yep.
There's a little bit of delay on those as they come in too. That really helps it feel a little bit more alive.
Yeah, really awesome. We like this because you snuck our logo in there like 6 times. Just a fun fact, we managed to sneak our logo into almost every project that we do. It's not the hardest thing to do when it's a half circle, but
yeah,
we have fun with it. There's almost always a hidden Unfold logo somewhere. But let's check out a couple more of these. Let's see. Again, here, I mean, I love this project. Again, the clippings make this really unique and interesting, and feels really engaged. And let's check out this one here. Just beautiful use of animation. Like the subtle lighting change up here on like the screen. That's cool. Fingerprint scanner. Really nice. And let's check out this last one. All right, getting to see the interactions for login. I can tell we're using auto animate here with the way like that's sliding in. Really cool. Nice loader. And this is awesome. And you know what? I want to call out here. I love getting to be a part of the DDCs, the Daily Design Challenges. One of my favorite things is getting to see people grow. So while I think all of your stuff here is really nice, like I feel like each of these projects continue to get even better. Like this is clean, and then it just like this thing kicks into overdrive. Like this is absolutely stunning work, and we see that carried through in the rest of the stuff. Like everything that you're doing here is really nice, really clear and concise, and yeah, it's awesome. You guys want to say anything else on Rashid's stuff here? Otherwise we can jump on to the next.
Yeah, just if you scroll up to the top, go up a few shots, right there, that one. Actually, wait, there was another one I think with the bushes.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think just adding some shadows here would help a little bit, like either on behind the green card or behind the plant itself. Just to give it a little bit more like depth between some of the shapes. But I think it's really good though. Overall, everything looks great.
Yeah. The only thing
that would help anchor it a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. The only thing I would maybe play with here is while it looks nice, this menu is really hard to navigate because you do have to do the head turn to really grasp it. So it looks good for presentation, but it's not the most usable thing. So that's something that I would
unless you replace the text with icons, then maybe it could work better. But...
Sure.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's move on to this one. So we've got a little bit of neomorphism here. We'll come at this with an open mind. But let's check this out. So we've got this calendar application, and I don't know what secuomorphism is.
What is it?
I don't know. Neomorphism, secuomorphism.
Oh, skeuomorphism. That's basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The original skeuomorphism.
The original, right? Exactly.
All right.
Reality, real life.
The OGs. Okay. So here's this to me is a good, and this is kind of outside of the design. This is my beef with neomorphism, is it's completely inaccessible and it's really difficult because like we can see these shadows and like subtle, it kind of looks like an indentation on really good monitors. If somebody doesn't have a monitor like that, you can't see this stuff, and it's really difficult for people that have visibility or visual impairments. This just doesn't work, and so that's where it looks pretty, but let's do something else. Let's do something that is much more usable, has a better user experience. The other thing that I would say here is I think just a little overemphasization on the use of color, because it's one of those things like if everything is important, nothing is important. And it's a little tough with so much kind of like jumping out at you on the screen. It's really hard to digest and absorb this information. And I think if stuff was a little bit more subtle, that it could be a little bit more successful. And, like more consistency with your icons in terms of size and weights and things like that. It looks like there's like the shapes here don't match up, which is throwing me a little bit.
Yeah, the shapes are a little off and things aren't really centered. Yeah, they're not as centered, and the corner radiuses are a little off, like from the behind it. So, and I think, well, for sure, like that yellow on white text isn't working. So you definitely want some contrast added to those, like the main dates there on top.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, this is probably my favorite shot of all time in terms of like skeuomorphism. I'm gonna brag on Eddie for a second. And of course their search algorithm doesn't work. Hang on, let's check out Eddie. There we go. Filters.
Where is he?
I can't figure out.
Oh, if you click members, you'll see.
There we go. All right.
There you go.
And then let's do probably popular all time. Yep, this. Like, Eddie, I don't even know how you put this together. It blows my mind, and I absolutely love it. Like, this is fantastic skeuomorphic design, and I miss this kind of stuff. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll get back to it one day.
Yeah, he hand drew that, so.
I bet he did, which is frustrating and irritating all at the same. It's impressive and irritating all at the same time.
Probably in 10 minutes too is the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe 11.
So. Yeah. It's fantastic. But yeah, that kind of stuff I think is just super cool. I know he's got a couple other icons like that in here somewhere. Oh yeah, this one. This is the other one I was thinking of.
Yep.
Like it's fresh off the grill. I don't know what else to say. That's amazing. All right, cool. So moving on here, we've got Ma. So let's check this out. This is for some login screens. Okay, cool. So we've only got a couple screens here to take a peek at. So a couple of things that I immediately think of on this one is, one, it's really fun and engaging. The illustration and that like palm tree coming in, like, I don't know what this is for, but excuse me, I really want to be a part of it and like sign up. It's super cool. I think some of the text here is a little tough to read. And my last item of feedback would be, if you're going to use standard title casing everywhere where we have a capital L, it should be a capital F here, a capital L here. There's a space between the period, just little things like that. It's very subtle, but the reason that I mention it and the reason I'm a little nitpicky on that kind of stuff is that when you're working with a design director, if they stop and are correcting mistakes in your work, because overall this looks really nice, but if we have to stop and go, hey, fix this, realign this, change the text or things like that, we stop focusing on the design and giving you feedback and critique on that, and we have to correct things first. So take an extra minute, dial those things in, and to me that's one of the biggest indicators that kind of lead into a direction. There's more factors involved, but from going from like a junior to mid-level or senior designer, you want to improve somebody's design before you're correcting it. So nitpicky, but I hope that helps. Anything you guys want to jump in here?
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing about this screen that you're on right now, where it says email, and then basically the fields are all like the difference between the active. I'm guessing that's the active state. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The difference between the active state field and the non-selected field is very, very different. And typically you want to keep them somewhat the same. Just a subtle indicator that it's the active state. So maybe whether it's an outline, maybe a darker text, maybe the icon is filled in, but something that, because right now it kind of looks like a button of the sign up, like if you look at the sign up button.
Yep.
So just having some a little bit more like subtleness in the different field types, and just maybe closer together to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is like your email password, confirmation password, those things. It gets tricky too because it starts to almost look like they're disabled, and then you kind of wonder what you're supposed to do to enable them. Whereas I know that that's just kind of you're in a selected state here, but it just can end up becoming a little bit confusing too if they're too separate.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing with the disabled state. That totally struck me, and that's where I would probably get rid of the shadow because like you're not using it elsewhere. And if you used a light gray stroke on everything that's disabled, but then your active state has the blue, that would probably be a better solution for them. So,
Yeah.
All right, so this one is really nice here as well from Bianca. I love pot stickers, and now this is like all I want to eat. I gotta find somewhere that can deliver it today. Okay, so
It's working already.
See, effective design influences people. We have so much power in what we do. It's wild. All right, so we've got this recipe app. Immediately, one of the things that calls out to me, because I feel like this is one that is so close to being totally dialed. Along the way, though, I love the presentation here, what the challenge is, the typography that you use, the color palettes. This is all really, really nice. My first item of feedback would be the shadowing. Like, I really don't think it's needed. And it, again, the shadows to me work best when it's like this, the white on white. And you could probably make this even more subtle so it's very gentle, or you might be able to just remove it. But little things like I want this to be completely center aligned. It feels like these are slightly over to the side a little bit more. Get rid of the shadowing on these little buttons. But overall, like this is super clean. You guys?
Yeah. The one thing I was gonna say is like I feel like sometimes there's maybe there's like it's just there's a few competing things like the add new recipe and the plus, and then the vegan thing at the top. So there's just maybe a couple call to actions that you're not entirely sure what the primary one is, and then the salads look like it looks like there's more there that are off the screen that maybe you can swipe through. I'm kind of curious what happens with that when you swipe it to the left, if it goes under those stacked categories on the left, or what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there might be some confusing there, because then if you want to go back, maybe that gets in the way. But yeah, overall it's like visually it works really well, and it's really clean and simple, and you've got good white space, and I don't think it's trying to do too much. I just think there's a few of those little UX things that I would be curious to know how they function.
Yeah, overall looks great. I love that color too. I don't know what I would call that color, like a grapefruit mango, or not really mango, but
yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's weird, but I really like that color, that main primary color.
It's soothing but making you hungry at the same time.
And I like the airiness of everything, the white space. The big thing throwing me off is like that pink box under the salad plate with the shadow. Feels a little muddy. Like something about it, I think, could be adjusted, whether it's the shadow or the pink shade, or that whatever color that is, that orangey color. Yeah.
If it even needs the shadow.
Yeah. I think something else with this, I would reference apps like DoorDash, for example. They do a good job, which actually, let's see if I can pull it up here and share it on my phone. Let me turn Do Not Disturb on so nobody blows up my phone if they think they're being funny.
I'm going to start calling you.
Yeah, and actually, hang on, I'm gonna change it to where I was in San Francisco for Adobe. That way nobody finds out where I live. But what's cool here is if I can see this up on my screen. I'm on a delay. Let me switch to OBS real quick so I can see if this is working. Yeah, but essentially here, like you see at the top how I've got the different things that I can scroll through and the different types of cuisine. Like that's where I think that would be a way to alter this, where we put all of those items up on the top. And overall, the text on this, as I'm looking at it, like, "Hi Bianca, what would you like to cook today?" and "Summer salad." Like, these, as I hold my phone up to my screen, these previews are larger than my phone, and this text is too small to read. So you need to make sure that things are legible, at least 14, 16 point font. And that would also, if we move these items from the left over here to the right, then that would give more room to enlarge these things, and that would be really helpful. But overall, really, really awesome. All right, I think we got 2 more. And then I saw somebody, I believe Cornelian, who I can always rely on to be a part of these challenges, submitted one for today. So we'll make sure that we review that as well. So thank you, buddy, for doing that. All right, so one more from Ma here, but this one definitely called out to me. So we've got our ticket booking. The Last Ship is also a fantastic show. At least the first couple seasons were good. It fell off a little bit at the end, but I don't know. Don't watch it right now with everything going on. It's probably not the right show to watch, but afterwards it's really good. All right, so we've just got the 2 screens, no prototypes. I would say clean here. Just some of the contrast levels of stuff is a little difficult to read. Like, if this is the selected one, I'd love it to grow in size. I don't understand why some of these are different, but we're headed in the right direction. I think we'll jump on to the next one here. All right, so same project. This one is really cool here. Auto animate. We've got our booking TV app. Let me bring this down a little bit so we can see a little bit more. All right, so let's play this and check this out. All right, able to cycle through. I wouldn't mind getting more space between things, because, like, if I can pause that, like, you see how here, even though this is part of the cover art, but I thought text was spilling over, and it hides. Like, I know it's Sonic, but it's hard to read. I'd like to see more of things. So maybe giving some stuff some more separation and putting the titles down below would be really helpful. But let's keep going here. Okay. I keep seeing this trailer. I have no idea what this movie is about. It looks like classic Vin Diesel, just off the wall action craziness. Only Vin Diesel can be the pacifier and, like, triple X at the same time.
So hey, one thing on that screen there,
Whoops.
I think it's going to be... Sorry about that.
No, all good. Here, I can bring this back up a little bit. Okay, it's probably easier. So
Go to, like, where the seat selection is. A little further. Okay, yeah, right here. I'm curious to know, like, it's not gonna work to, like, try to select a seat by tapping on one of those, just because they are so small and close together.
right.
So maybe a different option would be to, like, either show it by sections. Maybe there can be a drop down and you can select a section, so just so you're like splitting the view and only showing a certain number of seats. But that would be the one thing I just saw when he was using the cursor to kind of go through there. That
Yeah, like maybe when you tap an area,
would be
it like
really
zooms in.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, there's no way, because generally the rule of their iOS guidelines is like 44 by 44 pixels to tap an element, and cramming that many seats together, there's absolutely no way. But you might say something like row or section, and then that takes you in one more step, and then you get a more zoomed in view. But cool. All right, and if you guys have any more questions, let us know, and we've got a couple more minutes. We've got about 6-7 more minutes to go, and we will answer those. But David, you want to kick us off on this one?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm on. Okay, I'm not on mute. Cool. Is this everything?
Yeah, so this is for a movie landing UI, which appears to be today's challenge for the creative stream or daily creative challenges.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think overall looks good. A couple things that stand out to me, just having maybe having some sort of overlap would be nice. I think the background is a little busy with the text and the image, so maybe picking one or the other. I think having the video maybe full width, or at least having a play button in there would help. And just playing around with some of the styles. Let me see if there's anything else here. Maybe because on the left looks like there's two different blocks. So you got your left with the content, then your right with the trailer. So I feel like maybe giving that a little more contrast would help. But yeah, that's kind of the first off the bat comments.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I think one way to make it a lot more dynamic and interesting is adding a lot more contrast. Like right now, like that video is the only thing with any saturation, which you definitely want that to be front and center, but you don't want to lose the rest of it. So I think if you made that left side, almost make that left side feel like a dark UI, whereas the right side kind of feels more like a lighter UI. So you kind of get that balance. So it's a little bit more dramatic on the left, plus then the text becomes a lot easier to read, and then you still get that attention for the video on the right.
And I feel like
a lot more dramatic.
Like the word "watch trailer" isn't necessary. I feel like it's distracting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a button. I think it's just pointing that way. So, so yeah, I would remove that. Maybe give a little more spacing to the button, like the coming March 20th. Like that could stand out maybe a little better. Just give a little more spacing to some of that stuff. But yeah, overall, I think it's heading in the right direction here.
Yeah, I think something else that I'm curious about. So with this, there's a couple things, and if we have a couple extra minutes, maybe we'll tackle this a little bit in XD and do a quick mock. But like I agree. If the left side was like maybe really dark, and then we reversed everything to white. The other thing that's like throwing me off is I want this text to feel a little bit more connected to down below. And where it's like everything's very evenly spaced, but it doesn't feel connected. I think we can get rid of watch trailer, and I'd rather see like a play button here or something. And I don't understand, coming March 20th, add to up next. If this is for a website, which is I think what it is, I don't understand that CTA. I'd rather this be maybe like a newsletter of, get reminded when this comes to theaters or when it goes to Apple TV or Hulu or Netflix or whatever it might be. And like the blue feels very out of place to me. So, having this, maybe this goes up here, like the coming date, the button here would probably be white with black text for that state, or maybe it's like outline or ghost button that fills in on hover. And then something I didn't notice, and maybe like you said, David, it's because it's kind of busy with the text here too, is that having these dots, I'm assuming, is to carousel multiple videos or something. I would never have noticed that. I would rather this video be enlarged and given more space, maybe some controls down here to play it. And I don't know that this is necessary on here. I could probably just have this over the video itself, but have official trailer, and then, I don't know, maybe there's a description, or maybe there's a couple more trailers down here that we kind of preview and showcase. Something like that, I think, would get the information across a little bit cleaner and make it more engaging. Whereas here, I just kind of immediately go to this, but I don't know that I can play it, at least from this view. But yeah, hopefully a couple of those things help out. And yeah, I think we can kind of close out there. Jad, real quick though, if you would like to be a part of the challenges, maybe Val can post that before we end the stream here, but I believe the link is behance.net/dailycreativechallenges/XD or something very close along those lines. I just have it bookmarked. I think if you put in daily creative challenges, it defaults to Photoshop, which I think us XD people feel offended by that, where it used to be a landing page, but you can just type in XD afterwards and switch that over. But I wanted to say thank you all for joining us. David and Evan, thanks for joining me so I didn't have to do this alone. It's been a lot of fun having you guys. And lastly, just thanks all for tuning in. I know this is kind of a weird week, and for helping us test and prove that we can do Adobe Live as a team. This is the first team stream that they've ever done remotely, so we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope that if you're remote, you stay healthy, you stay safe out there right now. There's just a lot of wild stuff going on with everything happening in the world, so take care of yourself, try to work remote if possible, and do what you can to flatten the curve. And hit us up on social media, web. We'd love to chat with you guys and stay connected, and we'll catch you in the Discord group. And with that, everyone, have a wonderful day.
All right,
See you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for